join button that I can see on my screen, or we stay?
No, I'll do everything for you, Isabella. Yeah. So we're now recording and everyone from the lobby is in the meeting.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Northern Beaches Local Planning Panel meeting for Wednesday, the 2nd of October. Just before we begin, the first thing is, could everyone other than myself, please turn your microphones off. You'd be surprised how much background noise it picks up, and also it also causes echoing sometimes, which can be a bit distracting to everyone. So thank you for doing that. There's a couple of you I can see have still got their microphones on. So if you could just have a look at making sure, that would be great. Thank you. So just before I start, what I'd like to do, given that quite a few of you are probably not familiar with the planning panels, who we are and what we do, I'll just go through a quick introduction. Excuse me. In 2018, the state government made local planning panels mandatory for all Sydney councils and Wollongong City Council. In summary, the panels aim to provide an increased level of accountability and ensure independent oversight leads to better planning outcomes, particularly for certain developments that are controversial or sensitive or involving a potential or real conflict of interest for the particular council concerned. So the function of the panel itself is to provide an independent and open forum for interested people and groups to hear and make submissions about development proposals that have been referred to the panel for its determination. And there's someone who's got their microphone on. Could you turn it off, please? Also, a role of the panel is to consider and determine development applications, application modifications, reviews of applications, and so on. And those are applications that have been directed to it according to criteria that have been set by the Minister for Planning. We also provide recommendations to Council on planning proposals, which are commonly called rezonings, and any other development matter that may be referred to the panel. There's some statutory rules that govern our operation through a code of conduct and operational procedures, and details of these can be found on council or the state government website. Each panel member has 4 members, and I'll introduce them in a little bit of time. The chairperson, myself, David Crofts, who's an independent expert, a community member, and 2 independent expert members. The expert panel members are required to have expertise in urban design, planning, or some other related field, and their appointment follows a selection process which has been undertaken by the state government. The committee members are representatives of the local community, but do not need to be expert in any particular field, and they are appointed by the council after an expression of interest process. As I mentioned, the panel is bound by a code of conduct. The panel members must sign a declaration disclosing whether or not they have a conflict of interest in relation to any matter on the agenda for the meeting concerned. The process followed by the panel is that council officers assess development applications as usual. They then report to the local planning panel with a recommendation. An independent determination of the applications is then made by the panel. It's important to note that the panel does not set policy, but works within the legal framework and policy set by council, the state government, and the courts. In our process of making a decision, the panel reviews the application, the council assessment report, any submissions from the public, and any other relevant documentation. The panel undertakes an on-site inspection, either physically in person or electronically, depending on the circumstances. We then hold a public panel meeting, which is what we're doing now, for interested people and groups to hear and make submissions about development proposals. And we then meet in a closed panel session for us to determine the applications before us. So determination means that we can approve a development, we can approve it subject to conditions, we can defer consideration for further information and the like, and then determine it at a later time, or we can refuse an application if we have the mind to do that. A public announcement of any determination we make is made by the council a few days after the determination, once a number of procedural matters have been undertaken. As I mentioned, the public panel meeting is an opportunity to make oral submissions. They are not a place for debate or for to and fro discussion between the applicant and the objectors. The panel will ask questions and seek clarifications after the presentations have been completed. You should be aware that the public meetings are video and audio recorded, so by participating, you're indicating your consent to be part of that. The recordings are live streamed and also published on Council's website. As I mentioned, once all speakers in relation to the matters on the agenda have finished, I will close the public meeting and the panel will move into a closed session to deliberate and determine all the matters on the agenda. One of the important things is that each presenter is requested to make a concise presentation of 3 minutes maximum. It's not necessary to read any submissions that you may have made because the panel members have already had an opportunity to read these. I suggest that the presenters focus on their main concerns to ensure that a clear and concise message is delivered to the panel. So with that by way of background, I'd now like to formally commence the panel meeting. And I probably didn't note earlier, we have a fairly full agenda today. So if I can ask people to be as concise as possible with their presentations, but I do note you certainly want to convey some information to us. So please be forthcoming as far as that's concerned. Just going through some initial matters. An acknowledgement of country. As a sign of respect, the Northern Beaches Local Planning Panel acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands upon which we gather and pays respect to elders past, present and emerging. I haven't received any apologies for this meeting, and each of the panel members has lodged a declaration of interest. There have been no conflicts of interest noted except for myself, and the conflict of interest in relation to myself relates to the first matter on the agenda, which is item 4.1, which is the review of a determination of an application of DA 2023/0646 at 121 Narrabeen Park Parade, Mona Vale. The reason why I have a conflict of interest is I participated in the original determination of that application, and therefore I should not participate in the review. So I'll be passing on to another panel member to chair the meeting for that component. I won't participate in any of the discussion or the determination that will follow in relation to the review of the application. And I also want it to be on the public record that I didn't participate in the briefing on the matter that was provided by council officers prior to this public meeting. The minutes of the previous meeting, the last meeting of the Northern Beaches Local Planning Panel was held on the 4th of September 2024. This panel notes that the minutes of that meeting were adopted by the chairperson and have been posted on council's website. The panel members for this meeting are myself, David Crofts, the chair. I'm an independent expert. Lisa Bella Esposito, who is also an expert independent member. She's just indicated who she is. Michael Levy, who's an independent expert as well. and Frank Bush, who's the community representative for this meeting. We're now moving on to item 4.1, which is 121 Narrabeen Park Parade, Mona Vale. As I mentioned, I have a conflict of interest, so I will hand over the chairing of the meeting now to Lisabella Esposito, and I'll return after this matter is completed. Thank you, Lisabella.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Lisabella Esposito and I'll be chairing item 4.1. We have a number of speakers, 5 in fact, so I might start with Angus Keach. Is Angus here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks, Angus. If you can proceed.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I live at 119 Narrabeen Park Parade, located directly to the south of the site. And I have significant concerns that the assessment report has accepted a proposal that would create unreasonable harm on the neighbouring amenity and the visual quality of the surrounding environment. And I have 5 key concerns that I wanted to go through today. The first being bulk and scale. The bulk and scale of the building is excessive and the siting unreasonable, as the dwelling projects approximately 7 metres past the established rear building line. The assessment report accepts this bulk, scale and rear building line breach as numerically compliant. However, it's the impacts on our amenity that's the key issue. As detailed in our submissions prepared by Planning Progress, the outcomes and intents of the controls have not been met, and the previous refusal reasons of the panel have not been overcome. The second point I'd like to raise is the view sharing. All the developments in this location are cited to allow view sharing and avoid impacts on the neighbouring amenity. The proposed dwelling will totally obstruct our northeast ocean views from our living space and balcony. The assessment report considers that this is acceptable because we will still retain our views to the east. However, the applicants will enjoy unobstructed views of the ocean to the northeast, east and southeast, and the view to the southeast will be gained by blocking our views. This does not meet the principles of view sharing, particularly when a more skillful design would overcome these impacts. Third point I'd like to raise is about the rear section of the dwelling will also create an overbearing, oppressive outlook, create solar and privacy impacts. Conditions have been recommended, which we support, but these are required to mitigate the unreasonable harm of the current design. A simple redesign to pull back the rear elevation would overcome these impacts. The fourth point I'd like to raise is a breach of the front setback has been accepted in the assessment. So why does the development also need to exceed the established rear setback? And finally, just on the revision amendments, level 2 has only been pulled back by 1 to 1.2 metres from the refused scheme and still projects some 7 metres beyond the adjacent dwellings. This is a token amendment and not a skillful design that overcomes the previous refusal reasons. It is requested that the panel refuse the DA. However, should the panel consider approving the proposed development, it's requested that the recommended conditions be attached, including a condition to pull the rear elevation closer to the established rear building line. Should you have any queries, please can they be limited to my capacity as an owner, and any technical planning matters make reference to our submissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Angus. Panel members, do you have any questions for Angus? Frank, I can't see your camera. Do you mind switching that on? I still can't see you, Frank, but I gather that you don't have any questions. On that basis, we'll move on to Brian McDonald. If you can state your name and who you're representing, please, Brian.
My name is Brian McDonald. I'm a planner and architect, and I'm representing Chris and Marianne Logan of 123 Narrabeen Park Parade. And I just have 2 issues to discuss, which have been raised in a late submission that I sent to the panel. One is to do with condition 13, and the other is to do with excavation. Condition 13, I've been writing and reading conditions of consent for a very long time, yet A and E of condition 13 confuse me. If the panel has the drawings in front of them, condition A says level 3 balcony, a 1.8 metre high privacy screen shall be installed along the southern edges of the level 3 study bedroom. So if you look at the level 3 study bedroom, there are privacy screens to the north and south of the bedroom and the stair, but that condition refers to the balcony, which faces east. And so I understood this initially to mean that a privacy screen would be installed on the southern side of that balcony, which makes sense. But if it's on the southern side, there should be one on the northern side, which would make sense. So if that's what was intended, the condition could read level 3 east balcony, 1.8 metre high privacy screen shall be installed along the southern and northern edges of the level 3 balcony. The other matter, oh, sorry, my lights have gone out in the room. I don't think you want to see me in the dark. There we go. We've got energy saving lights. The other matter is condition E, which relates to, it says the solid masonry walls enclosing the sides of the balcony to level 2 master bedroom shall be deleted and replaced with a Juliet balcony. Now, and again, if you've got the drawings, this will be easy to understand. So the only balcony I could see at the level 2 bedroom is a deck on the north side, which does have masonry privacy screens. But I've since think I understand what it refers to is on the eastern windows of the bedroom, where there is no balcony, but a masonry frame or concrete frame. And so I have no objections to that frame being taken away and getting a reduction in the extent of the walls, but it's not a balcony, and it's possible that a Juliet balcony is not necessary, but it doesn't really make any difference to my clients. So I'll go on to the excavation issue. The proposal excavates to the northern boundary against 1, 2, 3. I've provided a sketch. I don't know whether you've seen it in my submission that shows that retaining wall moved 1 metre from the boundary. That would provide certainty that there would be the ability to construct that wall without disturbance of the neighbours and place a subsoil drain along it, which is recommended in the geotech report. It does not unreasonably reduce the garden courtyard of the neighbours, and I'm not satisfied that the geotechnical report addresses the degree of risk that's involved. And it's been my long experience that when you make a retaining wall against a boundary, then you have to overcut to build the wall. It's impossible to build the wall without overcutting, and there's no room to overcut. So my clients and I would ask the panel to impose a condition that requires that retaining wall to be moved 1 metre from the northern boundary. That's all we need to say, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Brian. Panel members, do you have any questions for Brian? Brian, I might go to the architect at the very end once all the speakers have spoken and ask Nana if she would like to respond to any of your matters that you've raised there. We'll move on to Rick Higgins. Is Rick here?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. First time on Zoom, sorry, so I'm a bit fresh to this. Please excuse me.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. My name's Rick Eggins. We are the neighbouring property directly opposite 121 Narrabeen Park Parade and are directly affected by this development. We, along with our neighbouring community, are strongly concerned about permanently losing scenic views along our street. We would anticipate this development, should it go ahead, would set a precedent for other DAs to be allowed to go to the height as well. We acknowledge attempts by the development to address issues, but we don't believe they've addressed them. We believe they've failed in addressing our issues of this view and cutting the view. The public scenic views at street level looking east and southeast when walking, cycling and driving from the top of Robert Dunn Reserve down towards 121 will be hugely impacted, with a significant view loss from the height, bulk and scale of the DA's garage. Narrabeen Park Parade is unique by public's direct and accessible views from the footpath of surf zones, beaches, rock platforms, ocean and coastal headlands. It's also the only location for viewing directly down to Warriewood Beach. Our neighbourhood has clearly demonstrated a serious concern through its common objection to this proposed DA, the potential loss of scenic views along our very special street. Worth mentioning, there was a petition raised in February 22 by a local resident titled Save Coastal Views Along the Scenic Walkway. The petition makes reference to the council bylaw lost during the amalgamation of the three councils, which I'm sure the panel are aware, a bylaw that protected developments from building above crown of the road along Narrabeen Park Parade to preserve the public views. This petition raised over 600 signatures. The petition acknowledges the council's upgrade of the new footpath focused on the scenic walkway from Narrabeen Beach to Mona Vale Beach. The walk has been so popular it now ranks as one of Sydney's best walks. We witness the popularity daily with people regularly visiting, walking and pausing to take in the views and photograph all angles down to Warriewood Beach. The original and amended DAs for 121 Narrabeen Park Parade were rejected. One of the reasons stated by Nick England, council officer or council planner, on the 21st of March 24, in that the building envelope will result in both adverse visual impact and unacceptable loss of views from private and public domains. Also, a notice of a determination by councillor planner Anne Marie dated the 20th of September, also acknowledging view loss from the footpath coastal. She accepts, view loss. It will be evident from the footpath and coastal walkway. The newly devised DA, dated the 1st of August, shows the roof level on the proposed garage to be higher than these previous submissions, which were rejected. The height poles originally installed, and I watched this from across the road, on the 1st of September 2023, have not been updated to reflect this new and give a true height, bulk or scale of the revised DAs. Although we've appealed for this to be carried out on several submissions, we'd appreciate it if this was actually performed so that we could give a better assessment, and the public, of course. The DA proposes construction of a garage above and across the current shared viewing level. As such, we believe it deserves a further impact assessment by council with community input. We're not asking the owners to sacrifice their current uninterrupted views, and we are not uncomfortable with change. The Coastal Management Act of 2016 acknowledges local council to have a crucial responsibility to preserve and protect scenic and coastal values. Preserving and protecting the coastal scenic views on the Northern Beaches is for the future and should be a priority of Northern Beaches Council. The decision by the panel today will set a precedent for future development applications. We'd appreciate the opportunity to meet on site with panel to walk through our points made today. Thank you again, Lisa, Michael, David, for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Rick. Panel members, any questions to Rick? No. Our next speaker is Simone Allen. If you can state your name and where you reside, please, Simone.
Hello, my name is Simone Allen. I live on 160 Narrabeen Park Parade.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for investing your time on this very important matter. I was a part of collecting the 600 signatures of the petition in February 2022 with Gay Rebel, my neighbour of 158. That took us only less than 2 days to collect by walkers and neighbours enjoying the bicentennial coastal pathway, voted Sydney's best walk. We note that since council amalgamated, that bylaw that was in place to protect buildings that were going above the height of the street was lost somehow. This was petitioned by hundreds and hundreds of Narrabeen Park Parade and community members more than 30 years ago. In fact, the owner of my house devoted years to this bylaw getting put in place. And when we bought our place 20 years ago, the real estate agent noted that the bylaw was in place and there was no risk of ocean views by blocking buildings on the low side or on the beach side of Narrabeen Park Parade. I will note that 17 houses along the beach side of Narrabeen Park Parade have respected the heights and have not gone above the road of the height of the street. Very few northern beaches have the benefit of the opportunity to share such a beautiful ocean view. The Bicentennial Pathway Walk. It is absolutely an icon walk and shared for beach to beach and many great runs if anyone has run along that pathway. Approving and accepting these height levels will set a precedent for others along the street to build above the height of the street. And this will create a corridor of tall buildings, no ocean views. It will become like Fairy Bower, where the walk between the beautiful pathway of Manly and Shelley Beach have been blocked by tall buildings. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Simone. Panel members, any questions to Simone? We'll move on to speaker number 5, Vijay Solanki. If you can state your name and where you reside, please, Vijay.
Thanks, everyone. My name is Vijay Solanki. I live across the road from the proposed development next to Rick, 172 Narrabeen Park Parade. A lot of the points that I have already been mentioned very elegantly by Rick and Simone, so I don't really want to waste too much time. I was sort of involved with trying to work out what happened when the new council amalgamations occurred and what occurred with the previous Pittwater 21 DCP plan. And I was told that the reason why that bylaw or caveat wasn't transferred across to the new control plan was purely because they didn't have a mechanism to do it. It was like an administrative issue as opposed to a reason for not including it. So it wasn't in their setup when they were trying to rush everything across there. So it wasn't because of any particular reason apart from a technical reason. So I think that was the only point I wanted to make, and everything else has already been mentioned, but well by the other neighbours.
Thank you. Any questions for Vijay from the panel? I might now then hand over to the project architect, Nana Lizik. And if I can ask, maybe if you can start with commenting on any of the matters that have been raised by the 5 speakers and respond to any of the issues raised.
Hi, it's Nana Lizik speaking. I'm the architect for 121 Narrabeen Park Parade. So I understand this issue about the bicentennial walkway is a very sensitive and emotional issue for the residents. And I feel like it's something that in the design of the project we've been very respectful to. I do understand that we are higher than the existing dwelling, but we've also opened up view corridors that are currently not there with the existing dwelling, which may be hard to interpolate between the height poles previously erected and the bulk of the existing dwelling there. It's not really our forum to debate the legislation of the planning instrument in this panel. So I think it's good for it to be raised as a community. But for me, we're speaking about one application with the current regulations. So my point really, with my 3 minutes to speak, is really about to thank the panel and the assessing officers for the recommendation of approval. And we just have a couple of requests, which is some adjustments to the conditions relating to the east-facing level 2 bedroom, as the condition requirements reduce the environmental performance of the building and amenity for the inhabitants. It's noted that under several points in the report, there's a request to remove the walls of the balcony to lessen the cross-view impact from the neighbouring properties, and on this we're satisfied. However, further in the assessment, there's reference to the Juliet balcony and the removal of the 1 metre projecting balcony on the whole. That's not a desirable outcome, as the balcony is intended to perform numerous functions. It's an articulation of the built form, providing light, shade and scale moderation from the east, which was part of addressing the visual impact of the proposal from the ocean side and cliff side. In addition, the balcony provides required solar protection to both level 2 and the ground floor opening, and rain protection to both those levels. The bedroom balcony is small and it's for private use and does not provide any further impact of overviewing neighbours' private open space, either the existing dwelling or the window opening itself. As this balcony is well set back, over 5.5 metres to the north, 3.5 to the south, we request this be retained. And further, the condition to make the bedroom north-facing windows opaque represents similar issues. The principle of the design has been conceived with large side boundary setbacks to allow northern sun penetration to private spaces. This north-facing bedroom is well forward of the main living terrace of the neighbours and does not further decrease any privacy amenity to the neighbours' outdoor spaces. As such, we request the removal of the condition for opaque glass. The dwelling compliance and impacts on neighbours has been thoughtfully considered, and as such should be approved with these conditions amended or removed.
Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions for the project architect? Okay, well, I think we have had all the speakers on this item. We've also received a number of late submissions that we have reviewed, and we now move on to item 4.2, and I call back David Crofts to chair this item.
Thank you very much, Lisa Bella, and also thank you to the speakers for that item, for being very concise and punctual with what you had to say. It certainly assisted the process. As I noted earlier, I haven't participated in that item as an active panel member due to conflict of interest reasons. Moving on now to item 4.2 on the agenda, which is DA 2024/0534, 14 Bassett Street, Mona Vale, which alterations and additions to a dwelling house. On the agenda, I have a total of 4 speakers, 2 objectors and 2 representatives of the applicant. The first objector I have listed is Ben Wheeler of 16 Bassett Street, Mona Vale. Ben, are you online, please?
Hi, David.
Yes, I can see you. Hi.
How are you?
Good, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, you've got a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, please. And if you can focus on what you think are the major points, that would be really helpful for the panel. Thank you very much.
Will do. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, panel. I'll get right into it based on time. With this particular DA in the pre-lodgement document that was presented to Council February 22, The proposal submitted to council scaled to around 85 square metres. The planner, Penny Wood, noted that a review of the surrounding properties within the visual catchment of the site revealed that the common theme is two-storey dwellings. As such, the conditions noted to be adhered to in order to achieve a third storey are: the applicant is to ensure that the proposal does not result in a development which is in excess of the height limit. The amenity impacts towards adjoining properties are minimised through the use of highlight windows, obscure glazing, and importantly to us, as a neighbour to the west of the property at number 16 Bassett, compliant envelope and setbacks. The current proposal sits at around 138 square metres. And in comparison, a complying secondary development with 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen and living room can comfortably sit within 60 square metres. I feel it's important to point this out because the larger the proposal is, the larger the proposal impacts unnecessarily on neighbours. The advice of the original planner was also to delete the internal staircase adjacent to the lift. Importantly to us, this would reduce the bulk and scale of the proposal along the western elevation. The current proposal sits almost entirely up against that western elevation, the bulk of it right along that parapet wall. Also, the full impact, it's just in direct opposition to the direction given by the original plan. I think that's a point that I wanted to make there. Also, that advice was given by the planner in the absence of the knowledge that that external staircase was an illegal construction. I also read a submission last night from Vaughan regarding the approval status of external staircase and a lift, and can add to that conversation. In 2019, at the time of the certification of the external staircase, that staircase had around 5 or 6 treads that ran from the rooftop and stopped about 2 metres short of the ground, which explains the top tread showing up in a survey. The balance of the staircase was constructed illegally in 2020, early 2020. I confirmed that on an app called Nearmap this morning that shows satellite images. That shows in January 23 of 2020, it's not there, and then in April 13th it shows up. I can, if you need any of that information, I can pass it on, but it's relevant to this application. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. In regard to the lift, I also wanted to point out that council nor the certifier were aware of the access to the rooftop via the lift being anything other than a lift overrun. We've got correspondence that was provided to another neighbour. Words to that effect. In summary, we've always been open to something being up there, but being added to a dwelling that's already grossly out of scale and character to the area, it should be done with consideration, and we feel that the current proposal has no consideration to the surrounding properties and should not be allowed to go through in its current form. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any questions from panel members? No. Okay, thank you. Frank Bush, by the way, your camera doesn't appear to be on or your microphone at the moment. I can understand the microphone being off, but I'm assuming that you don't have any comments to make. So if I could move on now to the second speaker, Glenys Prothero, if I've pronounced your surname correctly. Glenys,
David, I need to call Glenys in, so I'm just going to call her and to confirm, Frank, we can see you in the meeting. I can see your camera.
Okay, well, I can't at this point. I don't know whether other panel members can.
Looks like Frank is in the meeting twice. That might be why.
Oh, okay. Yes, yeah. I'm looking. Yeah, they're there twice. You've
just going to call Glenys in now.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong Frank.
There's only one.
Okay. Now, looks like someone might be you, Frank, that has their microphone on. And maybe because you're logged in twice for some reason, it's causing a bit of an echo.
I'll see if I can.
There we go. The other one's gone. And hello, Glenys, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Glenys, I'm going to leave you in the hands of the local planning panel to discuss the application put forward for 14 Bassett Street.
Thank you.
Hello, Glenys. How are you? It's David Crofts here. I'm the chair of the panel.
Thank you.
Okay. Just before, I don't know what you've been able to hear with you've been listening to the proceedings so far, but if you can make a presentation, putting forward your viewpoints and take a maximum of 3 minutes, please. And then if there's any questions, panel members will ask you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're in your hands.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Glenys Prothero, and I have been residing in Mona Vale in Grandview Parade for over 40 years. During this time, I have observed many changes to the building landscape, many for the good, but others certainly not so. In 2023, I approached Council via email and in person in relation.
I think we may have a problem there with Glenys, Heidi. Or is it just my system that's gone down?
No, I can hear you, David.
You can hear me, but okay. Heidi, are you there?
Sorry, yes, I'm here.
Glenys has disappeared.
I'll call Glenys back in.
Okay, thank you. The wonders of technology, eh?
Glenys, it's the local planning panel here again. We see you seem to have dropped out before.
Right, well, I'm back here now.
Okay, we can hear Glenys, so we're in your hands again.
Thank you. In 2023, I approached Council via email and in person in relation to the structure on the top of the roof of 14 Bassett Street, reference number BLD 2023 02292. As a result of this inquiry, Council informed me that this structure was a lift overrun.
We've lost Glenys again, I'm afraid, Heidi.
She has gone again. Let me. Here we go, Glenys, you're back in the meeting with local planning panel.
Hi, Glenys, it's David Crofts here. Before you start, you're on a mobile phone?
That's right.
How many bars have you got on the phone at the moment? Signal strength?
Two.
Okay, is it possible to move somewhere in your house or wherever you are that's a little bit stronger? Is there somewhere that you get better receptions?
How many? I still have only 2 bars.
Oh, okay. Well, let's proceed then, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. Because unfortunately, you keep dropping out, and I think it's the mobile reception.
Okay, I now have 4 bars.
Excellent. Okay, let's go.
In 2023, I approached Council via email and in person in relation to the structure on top of the roof of 14 Bassett Street, reference number BLD 2023 02292. As a result of this inquiry, Council informed me that this structure was a lift overrun that had been approved by a certain
Looks like 4 bars didn't do the trick either.
It's dropped out again.
Yes.
Do you want me to try again, David?
We'll give it one more go, eh?
Okay.
And we'll see how we are. Thank you.
Glenys, you're back with the local planning panel again.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Celia. I'm Glenys's daughter. There seems to be a problem that, hi. It seems to be dropping out at about the same point of the telephone call, unrelated to the signal strength at our end. We usually don't have a problem here.
Yes.
So I don't know what the issue is.
Right. Okay. All we can do.
So you can try and call me on my mobile if you like. This is a backup option, but the signal is obviously going to be the same. But we can try that. Can I give you my mobile number, perhaps?
If you do, just bear in mind you're giving it to everybody who's listening to the conversation.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Perhaps not then.
Okay. What I'll do, if you hang up, I'll ask Heidi to ring you and ring the number that Glenys's number, and to get your number, and then you can arrange the call that way. How's that? So I'll just give you a couple of minutes. So if you hang up, please.
Yep. Bye.
Just bear with us for a minute or so, please, everyone.
Okay, I have the phone number. I'm just going to call now.
Great. Thanks, Heidi. Hello.
Yeah, hi, it's Celia.
Hi, Celia. It's David Crofts here, the chair of the panel. We can hear you okay. So if you'd like to pass the phone to Glenys.
Okay, I just popped Mum on. Yeah, I'll pop Mum on. She'll start again. I don't know what point of the call it drops out, so we'll just start again.
Yeah, okay. It cuts out about 30 seconds into the conversation.
Okay, all right. In 2023, I approached council via email and in person in relation to the structure on the top of the roof of 14 Bassett Street, reference number BLD 2023 02292. As a result of this inquiry, council informed me that this structure was a lift overrun that had been approved by a certifier in 2019. The owner then chose to protect this exposed structure with a temporary plywood structure, which was then later damaged, and the owner then chose to put up an unapproved permanent structure. I was also informed that council had received a DA for alterations and additions to the property, which would include demolition of the erected lift overrun. However, as you can see, I had alerted council of my concerns to this DA application ever being made. This construction and associated developments, including the increase in height and size of the dwelling at 14 Bassett Street, have been a concern to me for some time. This unseemly construction has been overlooked back in 2019, and this matter and many others associated with the new DA application now must be remedied. I implore council to do their duty in this regard and acknowledge and act on the wishes of both its many and long-standing residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Glenys. And we're not quite sure what was causing the problem earlier, whether it was our end or yours, but it looks like using the different phone fixed it. So thank you for your patience. They are the only two speakers I have objecting to the proposal. Just a quick question. Is there any questions from the panel members of Glenys? No? Okay. We'll move on now to the applicant's representatives. I've got Vaughan Milligan and Mark Wiseman listed. Vaughan, I might ask you to coordinate your end in terms of any responses you may wish to make to the presentation so far, if you have any, and then I'll open up to any questions from panel members, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and also thank you to the panel members for the opportunity to address you today. I have with me today our project designer, Mark Wiseman. Mark's here primarily for any design questions the panel may have. We'd like to sort of speak to two aspects of our application, and in that I'm referring to the design of what we're asking the panel to consider, and then also the format of the recommendation from staff. I'd like to initially say that we'd like to commend the staff for a very open process in terms of working with us to respond to the concerns raised by neighbours. We think changes made to the application along the way have been very productive to address the very specific concerns of our neighbours. As a history to the application, submissions in the application and also to the panel today have referred to a pre-lodgement design and whether the proposal before you today is compatible or consistent with what was previously put forward. I'd just like to confirm that was a design put forward by a previous owner. Our clients, who are the property owners, purchased this property late last year. They were not involved or related to that pre-lodgement process, and the officer quite correctly indicates that plans considered a pre-lodgement are without prejudice. Our clients purchased the property. They have different needs, and hence that's what's underpinning the design before you today. As I said, we've worked very hard to ensure that our design complies, to our mind, to all respects with council's controls, other than the height control, and we put a submission forward outlining the issues with the previous excavation of the site, and that's what's really prompting a non-compliance with the height. I've prepared a clause 4.6 argument which considers the Land Environment Court principles on dealing with disturbed sites such as ours where there's been previous excavation, and the officer's report quite clearly and I think correctly notes that if the site was largely in its original form, then we would be complying with the 8.5 metre height control. Our design has all the way through the process attempted to address council setback requirements, council's building envelope controls, and also ensure that the design considers the privacy and amenity of the neighbouring properties, including solar access. Fortunately, properties here enjoy a very a fantastic northerly aspect. So the yards and the northern windows of ourselves and also the neighbouring properties will receive uninterrupted solar access. And Mark's design has a very comprehensive response to the solar access requirements, 3D shadow diagram information for initially the officer's consideration, but also now for the panel. So we commend our design to you, and we'd ask that the panel support the proposal. I'd like to turn briefly to the recommendation. There is a recommendation for a deferred commencement consent, seeking a building information certificate to be obtained for the western stairs and the lift. From our knowledge of the site and from council's approval history, which we've obtained from council, we believe that the stairs and the lift were previously considered with the final occupation certificate. There was a building information certificate issued by council in 2016 and the final occupation certificate, both which reference the structures. And most particularly the final occupation certificate included structural designs and survey information which show these structures to be in place. So to our mind, we think they have been previously considered and approved. we note the recommendation. We'd ask the panel to issue a consent if they're so minded without the requirement for the building information certificate as the deferred commencement process. However, we would be happy to go through that process if that's the panel's wish. I have Mark here. If you have any specific queries, we'd be happy to respond to support our proposal.
Right,
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Vaughan. Panel members, do you have any questions at all?
Yes, I do.
Lisa Bella.
To the designer, is it your intention? I found some of the drawings quite confusing, and I wanted to confirm that there is no stair access nor lift access up to the roof.
The proposal has currently existing stairs along the western rear part of the building that has external access, and currently we're proposing to have internal lift access from the lower floor right to the new floor upstairs.
I possibly haven't asked the question as clearly as I should have. For the area that's being proposed, the new level, can you confirm that there is no stair access to that new roof or lift access to that new roof?
There is lift access and there is stair access.
To the roof level?
Yes.
So can I just ask a question there? When you have a look at the elevations, there doesn't appear to be that the lift doesn't penetrate the new roof at all. It only goes into the new enclosed area, which is on the level of the existing roof. So can you just clarify that, please?
To understand the question, the lift shaft's currently on site. The new work is going to be built around the current lift shaft that's there now. And there is an existing external western stair that currently provides access to the current roof terrace that we're enclosing to make habitable floor space.
And yes, we understand that. So there is a roof on top of the area you're enclosing, the new area you're enclosing. That new roof, does that have stair or lift access?
Mr. Chair, there's no the proposed maximum roof level of the new building is 26.89. There's no trafficable access above that level, if that's what the committee members are referring to. The trafficable access to the building stops at the current first floor level of RL 23.78, and that's the area that's being enclosed. There's no access above 26.89.
Okay, just to be clear, there is no access from the roof, from the lift or the stairs to the new roof area.
No.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the panel?
No, thank you.
Michael? No? Okay. Lisa Bella, nothing new? No question? Okay, I don't have any questions either. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, the process from here on in is that the panel will be meeting in closed session after we've completed this public session. And at that meeting, that closed session, we'll make a determination on what's before us, and then the outcome of that will be known in a few days' time. So can I thank you all for your presentations? And I'd now like to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 4.3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item I have on the agenda is item 4.3, which is DA 2024/0199, 42 Balgowlah Road, Balgowlah, which is the use of premises as a specialised retail and offices, which involves alterations and additions to an existing building and signage. And I believe from the development application, it's proposed pet barn may be occupying those premises. I have listed 2 speakers, one objector and one representative of the applicant. The objector I have listed is Passa Saglam, if I pronounce that correctly. Passa, I can see you're online. So if you'd like to make a presentation, we're in your hands.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, David. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Pasha Saglam. I live in 143 Belgala Road, straight opposite to the building. So a lot of the objections have been already submitted in writing, and the community has also submitted their objections. However, one of the objections is that not sufficient notification has been given to all of the community that is impacted by it, but rather just a few buildings around the building itself. That's one concern. The other one is privacy. Straight across from my bedroom, basically, I can look into the building. If Pet Barn or any other retail would go in there, they would also look into my basically bedroom. So I would like the windows to be frosted all along the building, downstairs and upstairs, please. And also the entrance of the building moved, of the proposed building moved to the car park side, which is what is there at the moment. So there is no entrance to the side of Belgala Road. Similar conditions were put on Bunnings when Bunnings CDA was submitted. No entrance was allowed to Bunnings on Belgala Road to have an entrance to allow residents on Belgala Road to enjoy their home. That's one, so privacy is very big. Then the other aspect is safety, and I actually had prepared some images that I wanted to post in the chat, but it seems like the chat is turned off to post those. And safety for pupils who use that footpath and a cycle path on the northern side to actually go and come from school, and also other pupils from Manly West who frequent that path, and that putting an entrance onto Belgala Road poses an increased safety issue for pupils and other residents who want to use that who want to use that footpath. Another reason to move the entrance off Belgala Road and into the car park side, so that customers can enter from the car park side. The third one, which many times have been raised already, is increased traffic. Multiple traffic generation factors were mentioned, and I have made in my submission reference to the RTA report 2009, and whereby traffic generation factors for bulky goods could go up to 16 cars per hour per 100 square meter, which would mean at this location, at this size, more than 2,000 cars per day additionally on Belgala Road. And as you may know, Belgara Road is already congested, and I also had prepared videos and also photos showing how cars are piled up all the way to Hill Street. The solution here is not getting more cars through at a faster pace. The solution here is actually getting less cars through Belgala Road and slowing down the traffic, calming down the traffic with different measures, and the proposal is also to make it a 40 zone. And the other aspect is the proposed development already increases the current footprint by more than 100%. At the moment is 1,000 square meters. Now it's going to be 1,700 plus the car parks. It will be more than 2,000 square meters of space. And commercially for the applicant, that might be already viable if it stays as warehouse and office. So the community wants to retain and contain the status quo, which is use it as warehouse and office space, which is for the, at the extended and expanded footprint for the benefit of the applicant, and also would be for the benefit of the community to retain the current relatively calm situation on that corner. Another component is on the opening hours on the weekends. At the moment, when on Saturdays, Sundays, the community is able to enjoy Quirk Road because the council is closed and the other amenities are closed, and provides a calm, enjoyable weekend with the new retail facility there. That will be also taken away because the opening hours are until 5 and 6 on Saturday and Sunday. So another aspect is that the second floor has not been actually tenanted out, so which means we don't know what kind of bulky specialist goods retailer will lease it. And as per the report, RTA report 2009, it really depends highly on the type of bulky goods retailer, what the traffic generation factor would be. And therefore, I propose that no retail license be allowed on the upper floor until, or never be allowed actually. So that is my submission, my proposal. And I request that this be rejected and further proper traffic assessment be done on the impact of such a huge retail shop. Is not a small conversion, is a huge conversion from 1,000 square meters to 2,000 square meters, and then from warehouse office to retail. It's a huge impact on the community on that corner, not just surrounding buildings, but the wider community.
Great. Thank you very much for your presentation, Passa. Panel members, do you have any questions of Passa? No? Okay. Thank you. I now would like the applicant, Stephen Humphrey, who I can see online. Stephen, do you have any response to any of the submissions or to Passa's presentation prior to any questions from the panel?
Look, yeah, Mr. Chair and panel. Look, I'd like to start by saying we submitted this DA application in earlier this year, January, February. We then went to the Design and Sustainability Review Panel, which drove a number of outcomes regarding some of the items that were just raised by Mr. Saglam and the panel. I'll just run through what we then changed in this development to address council's concerns. The first was we originally proposed a second driveway off Balgala Road. Council's design panel were against that idea. We then redesigned the site to have all traffic movements, both loading and customer parking off Kirk Place. So that was resolved. The original boundary or property extension was down the Kirk Road side. We've since now extended on Balgala Road side on the compliant frontage side. So that means that there's no traffic movements and there's solid concrete with glazing facing Balgala Road and within a 4.5 metre setback. We were over the height limit. We've reduced and deleted a small office component that was on the top to get within height limit. We installed additional landscaping to landscape Kirk Place and Balgala Road, and installed bicycle parking. We also the original, in fact, the site as it sits at the moment in terms of parking has 14 spots compliant. The first submission proposed to go to 19 spots, and then the revised submission, which is before you for approval or recommendation by the planning report, goes to 23. So we've listened to council. We've worked through all of that. Adam Croft at council's been very good to deal with. It's been quite collaborative, and we've worked through all of those concerns. I should point out that in the first place, a lot of the objections raised are regarding the local area, the roads. Mr. Saglan just raised 40 kilometres an hour. But, they're all council issues that are not related to this particular application. Neither is the zoning. The zoning, it's in E3, productivity support. So we're fully compliant with height, setbacks, FSR. We've listened to council and we've worked really hard to resolve the issues. Just to address some of Mr. Saglan's points, we have the privacy there was a ramp on Balgala Road. It's now a solid wall with fixed glass. So the privacy, and also the privacy is it was occupied by Quicksilver. It was Quicksilver's head office. It was initially an Australia Post depot, which would have had 30 or 40 employees. It was then Quicksilver for 10 years, which then turned into Volcom, another surf brand, local employer. When we took ownership of the property 18 months ago, there was probably 40 people working there. There was a speech pathologist on first floor. There was huge traffic volumes, and the privacy is unchanged from the Balgala Road frontage. The windows are remaining. That was a strong point with council and sustainability. We've kept the windows along that side, and then any new windows upstairs are elevated, so they're above 1.5 metres. So there's no overlooking. There's also some significant street trees on Balgala Road, which completely shield the property in terms of privacy. So we believe that's been addressed. The entrance, there is an existing gate, pedestrian entrance off Balgala Road. That is now, so there is there's a like-for-like entrance off Balgala Road. However, we feel the majority of people will actually enter the car park on the northern side. So I don't see huge volume. There's only 2 spots on Balgala Road for parking on that Balgala Road frontage. So we see 95% of customers entering off Kirk Place, of which there's 8 external council car parks, and then we've provided 23 internally. In terms of footprint, which Mr. Saglan raised, we're within the DCP, the LEP, we're 1 for 1, or a bit less. And yeah, I completely disagree with the traffic generation. We've worked really hard with traffic, both council and our traffic consultant, to increase. As I said, we've gone from 14 existing to 19 to now 23 spaces. So all in all, the process with council and, as I said, the planning panel was collaborative and achieved, it definitely achieved better outcomes than what would have been achieved had we just stuck with the original submission. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Panel members, any questions?
Just one question, Mr. Chair. Stephen, so the application includes the external advertising. Could you just confirm if that's illuminated in any way, proposed to be illuminated?
Pet Barn, there's no proposed illumination from Pet Barn. And in fact, I think I've seen, I don't know if the draft conditions actually, there's no proposal from our point of view, from a Pet Barn point of view, to illuminate the signage. As I said, I have read the draft conditions, and I've got a feeling they possibly even talk about what you can and can't do. But at the moment, there's some signage boxes both upstairs and downstairs on the elevation that are proposed.
Okay, no, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Lisa Bella?
Yes, to Stephen. So could you just run me through, if I park in your car park, do I have to walk down the stairs onto Quirk Road to then join the concrete footpath along Balgala Road to get into the front door?
So there's a front door. There's a front door off Balgala Road, and then there will be a secondary door on our car parking side where you park, which, as I said, that's where we believe the majority of people will come and go.
And where is that door? Is that door adjacent to car parking spaces 1 and 2?
Oh, sorry, I'll open the plan, so I don't have them open.
I just can't seem to see it. Or are you talking about the loading dock door? It just seems that there's no, I'm trying to understand, if I park on Quirk Road, it seems I would have to get out of my car, walk on Quirk Road because there's no footpath, because there's a garden adjacent to the building, and then connect back up to the concrete path.
Sorry, while we're on the Quirk Road footpath, those parking spots is actually the reason there's no footpath there is because council put those rear to curb or front to curb, whichever way they are, car parking spots in there, which deleted our boundaries, actually well out into like that footpath area. So the reason there is no footpath is because council put those spots in there, and I don't know when that was I don't know when that was done.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to me that the access to the store is very well connected to the car parking spaces. And I can't see the entry door from the car park at the back of your building. It seems to me you'd have to park in car parking spaces 1 to 6, walk down the stairs, walk onto Quirk Road.
So sorry, there's two distinct levels. So if you go into the upstairs tenancy, that's all accessed off the upstairs tenancy. If you do downstairs tenancy, then Pet Barn have got to decide whether their customers go around or they enter off the car park. Correct.
So sorry, I'm confused now. So the upper floor level, I can see there's an entry from the car park into the retail space. The ground floor level, Lisabella's noted there's a ramp and stair entry off Balgala Road, but it's not clear to me where any entry is off the car park area into that ground floor.
If that's not on the plans, then it can be added. Sorry, I can't find the plans. My service.
Well, the difficulty is that looking along where the interface point between the car park / loading manoeuvring area is if there was an entry to be provided along there, it would then interfere with the operation of the car park and or the manoeuvring area for loading and unloading.
Correct.
So it's not just a matter of creating an entry. So that's why we're after clarification.
Hang on, sorry, I found the plans.
Thank you.
I think if you look at DA10, that's the ground floor.
Yep, that's the one I've got open. Thank you, Frank. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a green line on the northern wall facing the car park, and on the next plan, DA11, that green space is a door access. It's not specified as such on DA10.
No, but it interferes with.
Sorry, DA11 is the next level up, Frank.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
but on DA11, there is a green line similar to that, and then it specifies a customer entry.
Yes, but that's a different tenancy, and that's why I was seeking clarification.
It's not on it's not on DA10.
That's correct, which is the level below.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, so Stephen, have you managed to?
Yeah, sorry. So I've got that in front of me. Correct. So
yes.
Correct. So there's an emergency exit door on the side of on the side there, and then correct.
Sorry, can we clarify? You've got plan DA10, which is the ground floor, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yes. Proceed. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So DA10 is the plan I'm looking at, and there's an emergency exit door onto Kirk Road, adjacent spot number 8, council spot number 8 in Kirk Road, and then. You're correct. The main entry is down the stairs at the front where the disabled ramp is on Balgala Road.
So to pick up Lisabella's point, if you were utilising the car park that are within the premises, you would need to exit that car park, and there doesn't seem to be
you have to
a
walk
pedestrian. You then have to exit that car park, perhaps on the ramp. Then
no, there's a set of stairs adjacent the ramp. Between the ramp and the bikes, there's a set of stairs. There's 2 stairs there.
Oh, yeah, I can see them. Yes, you're quite right. So you go down those stairs, then manoeuvre your way around those vehicles that are parked on the street, the 90-degree to curb ones, and then come round the front of the building to Balgala Road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
And so they are two independent retail spaces that will operate independently of one another.
Well, we don't know that at this point, but one would assume so. Yes.
Yes, because there's no physical movement connection between the two, other than the goods lift and the stairway in the warehousing storage areas.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And just one more question. If I am parking in your proposed car park in spaces 1 to 6, I'm forced to walk down the stairs. So if I'm a mother with a pram, where would I go?
You're right, probably down the ramp. So look, this hadn't been the retailer Pet Barn was of the opinion they wanted the entry off Balgala Road. However, if council feel that the entry should be off the car park side, we simply delete the emergency exit up higher, and where spot 1 is, we slide it all 2 metres to up the page, and we put an entry right adjacent to the stairs there. So we keep the parking slot, we slide it up, and we reconfigure we put a 3-metre entry in front of spot number 1, so that facilitates the entry, and the disabled ramp stays on the other side if someone chooses to come in that side.
And remove the entry from Balgala Road.
Sorry, Pasha, this is for the panel to ask the question.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
Mr. Chair.
We'll take that on notice, I guess.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may, it just had a question about how you get from the ground level car park to Quirk Street. There are the stairs there that seem to bring you internally within the car park. Do those stairs go from the ground level directly to the street?
There's 2 sets of stairs there. The stairs, as you're looking at the plan, if you look in front of the bicycles, there's a little tiny staircase, 1200 wide to the right, which facilitates the 300mm difference between the car park and Kirk Place. And then there's the stair to the left-hand side, which is the stair that facilitates access to the top floor.
Okay. Yeah, may just need to clarify that.
Okay. Any other questions from panel members?
No, thank you.
No. Okay. Thank you very much, presenters, for taking the time to brief the panel. I'll now move on to the final item that's in the public part of this meeting, which is item 4.4, which relates to a modification DA 2024/0326, which is 261 Alfred Street, Cromer, modification of a development consent, whose number is DA 2023/0296. So we don't have any objectors noted to speak. Only the applicant's available for any questions, if I've got that correct. So Daniel Deegan, I noted, or the owner, I noticed that you're online. So are there any questions at all from panel members in relation to this particular DA?
Am I allowed to address the panel?
You can, sorry, I just wanted to just check. Are there any questions at all? No, at this stage? No. Okay. Yes, Danielle, if you wish to make a presentation, please.
Yeah, the recommendations for refusal. So we're requesting that the panel approve the modification. So the conditioning question, condition 34, seeks to impose a restriction on the title for each new lot to restrict future development to the exact building footprints shown on the indicative building plans. I'm not sure whether the panel has been provided with a copy of those building plans.
Yes, we have.
Okay. There's two reasons provided in the recommendations section of the assessment report for the refusal of this modification. And I disagree with both of those reasons as follows. The first reason states that deleting condition 34 is inconsistent with section 455 subclause 3 of the Act. However, this clause does not require consistency. It only requires that the consent authority take into consideration the reasons for the grant of the original consent. There is no requirement for the consent authority to make a decision that is consistent with or aligns with the original consent condition. Consent decision, as alluded to in the particulars in reason 1 provided in the assessment report. The consent authority can make a decision that is inconsistent with or does not align with the original decision. Therefore, in my opinion, there is no statutory impediment to the panel approving this request to delete condition 34. The second reason in the recommendation states that removing the building footprint restriction is inconsistent with the aims of the LEP and the provisions of clause C1 of the DCP. This reason states that this is due to a lack of certainty of compliance with the building form controls. Given that future development will require separate approvals, the built form on both lots will be assessed under the applicable planning controls at that time. As acknowledged in the assessment report, the building plans were submitted during the assessment of the original DA, and their purpose was to demonstrate that each lot could accommodate a compliant dwelling house. The plans were intended to be indicative only. This is because there are numerous building designs and building footprints that would be both compliant and appropriate for the proposed lots. Restricting the future development to one particular shape is unreasonable, noting that the site is not environmentally sensitive. Both lots are relatively flat and devoid of any significant vegetation. The imposed building footprint on the front lot reflects the location of the existing dwelling house. This dwelling is an older cottage with a generous front setback of 9 to 12 metres. As it is nearing the end of its life cycle, any future development would be more appropriately located more centrally on that lot, thereby increasing private open space at the rear. Condition 34 would effectively result in an inferior planning outcome for that lot. In closing, restricting the building footprint to only one specific design is not necessary. Any future development will have to adhere to all applicable planning controls. The council should have faith that its planning controls will deliver appropriate development in the future. If the council is concerned that it will not be able to control potential complying development applications, in my experience, the complying development controls are more restrictive than that of council. In closing, we consider that the panel approve the modification application and delete condition 34 as requested.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Danielle. Are there any questions now from panel members in response?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Danielle, for providing a presentation. As I mentioned earlier, and you're no doubt aware, we'll be determining the matter later on this afternoon, and the outcome will be known in a few days from council itself. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the items for the public component of the local planning panel meeting, there are a number of non-public meeting items that the panel will be considering in closed session, which are listed on the agenda. So I'd now like to formally close the public session and thank everyone for their attendance and for their time in participating. Thank you very much. Can panel members just stay online for a few moments after Heidi logs us off, please? Thank you.